Welcome to Real Estate Real World, where we talk to the movers, shakers, and leaders that are getting it done right now in the real estate industry and beyond. I'm your host, Marguerite Crespillo, and I started this podcast simply dedicated to calling people about what's really happening in this crazy roller coaster ride of real estate. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and stay up to date on the newest stuff by adding yourself to the list at www.realestaterealworld.com. Now, let's dive into the world of real estate. Hello, everybody. It's Marguerite Crespillo, and guess what time it is? It's time for Real Estate Real World. And I'm super excited about my guest today. I've watched him just skyrocket to success over the last couple of years, and it's been really fun to watch somebody go from 0 to 100, right? So let me tell you a little bit about Levi. He released his first YouTube video on December 5th, 2020. So it's been 3 years now. As a brand new real estate agent, he had not even sold a home in 2020 or the first quarter of 2021. Levi partnered with Travis Plumb, and they closed their first 2 transactions from the channel in April 2021. In the last 9 months of 2021, their first full year in real estate, they closed 64 transactions, $33.5 million in volume, and just over $1 million in commissions. Insane. In their second year, 2022, they closed 154 transactions for $86.2 million in volume and $2.3 million in commissions, all organic with 0 ad spend. They now own the fastest growing and most viewed real estate YouTube channel in Dallas, Texas, and generate 3 to 5 inbound referrals per day. That's crazy. So I'm really excited to welcome my guest today, Levi. Come on up.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome. We're glad you're here.
All good. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So tell me a little bit about your background. What did you do before you did this?
A lot of sales, and it's funny. Do you know a guy by the name of Michael Reese?
Oh yeah. I knew him and Jay long before they even joined DXP. Here's what I remember about them. I was involved and engaged in a coaching program with Frank Kern. I know you probably know who Frank Kern is, and who's a master online marketer. And I'll never forget when Mike and Jay did this whole thing where they were on speedboats and helicopters. I don't know if you ever saw that video they did.
Yeah.
And I was like, those guys are wild and insane. And yes, so I've watched them skyrocket, of course, over the years.
Yeah, so I actually sold gym memberships with Michael Reese at Bally Total Fitness before he got into real estate.
Wow.
And so that's where I started my sales career. I never really grew up like knowing what I wanted to do in life. I guess you could say I didn't know I wanted to be a police officer or fireman, but just went through growing up. And then all of a sudden I graduated high school and was, okay, what's next? And I did some labor jobs for about a year. And then I realized, okay, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I joined the military. I got out of a small country town a couple hours south of Dallas. And whenever I came back from the military, I moved into Dallas instead of moving back to my hometown. And that's where I met Michael and started selling gym memberships, got into sales, and it just became really good at it. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is cool. I'll just sell stuff, whatever it is. And as I progressed throughout my career, which was I graduated to cell phones at Costco, the little cell phone booths inside there. And then I was going to get into real estate with Michael when he got licensed in 2002, but it took me about 2 years. I never really wanted to be a real estate agent. So 2 years later, he finally talked me into it about 2004, and I got licensed at that time, but I was still in the reserves with the military. And so they called me up at that time. I had my license for about 1 week. So I think I did one open house that weekend. And then on Sunday, I got a call and said, hey, we need you to report to Fort Hood and you're going to be deployed for 18 months. Oh, and then I was gone. Yeah, I spent a year of that over in Iraq. But whenever I was there, I thought about it and I was like, I don't really want to be a real estate agent. That Michael just talked me into it. So whenever I came back, you got that job selling cell phones at Costco, and I did really well at that. And from there, and that was through a referral. And then I got somebody who really liked how I did business there, recruited me to a pharmaceutical company. And so then I thought I was really stepping up in the world. I was really becoming a professional, and which was pretty cool. And so I did that for about 8 years. And I was the only person that had worked there that did not have a college degree. So even though originally I joined the military to get money for college, once I got into sales and started making pretty good money at a younger age, I was like, oh, who needs college anyways?
Right.
And so it was funny because then I got recruited into this pharma company, which they almost didn't hire me because, again, they only hired people with college degrees. But I was able to sell myself pretty well in the interview and got in. And then I ended up hanging out there for the next 8 years until I got really sick. And then I had acquired a digestive disease in Iraq while I was there. And then it took about 8 years to really catch up to me. And in 2013, it nearly killed me. I was 33 years old and I became completely bedridden and disabled. And for 3 months, it was just the worst time in my life. And I went to all these GI doctors. They could not get me well, 4 different GI doctors. And it was really God's grace. I found a natural doctor, and the natural doctor was like, well, just change your diet and put you on some vitamins. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll give that a try. And it started to work. Now, it ended up taking me a full year to recover, but I ended up losing that pharmaceutical job because I could only go on medical leave for 90 days. After 90 days, they wanted me to come back to work. And so then I realized I'm probably never going to have a job again, because at this time I didn't know if I was going to be sick for the rest of my life. Medical doctors told me I had a chronic disease that I would never cure. I would be on medication for the rest of my life. And how they were going to cure me was also like remove organs. That was their solution. But
more drugs.
Yeah, but I went the natural path, which I never even thought of that or considered that at all whatsoever. And now I've never gone back. I've stayed natural for the last 11 years. I've never had a single sign or symptom or issue. I haven't been on any medication. And so I consider myself cured from what they told me was incurable, and have never been healthier now. And so even at 44, people tell me I look a lot younger than I did at 33. So I think that's a good sign. I'm like Benjamin Button, just aging in reverse. But that's a good thing. That's very important to me, health and lifestyle. And from there, I moved into financial services. Again, I didn't know what I wanted to do at that time. I wasn't really sure. And I called around. I called business associates, people I knew or work with. And I was just, what's going on? What are you working on? What's somebody working on? I'm not really sure the direction I wanted to go. And got referred to somebody that was working with teachers on retirement planning. And so I thought, oh, that sounds pretty noble, right? That sounds like a good cause. And from there, I got licensed in financial services. And then I started doing that with this guy. I just cold called him and I said, hey, a friend of mine said you were doing this. It sounded interesting. Would you consider mentoring me or training me? And out of the blue, he's okay, that's never happened before, but sure, why not? And then we became pretty close over the last 5 years until 2020. So I was living my best life, working with school teachers, helping them with retirement planning. And the great thing is I had 5 times a teacher's income and a teacher's schedule. So I had summers off, 2 weeks off for Christmas, a week off for Thanksgiving. I never worked a weekend. I never really worked an evening. And after being in sales and retail sales and memberships and all that type of stuff, I was used to like working evenings or weekends or things like that. So this was really fun. And I was building up residual commissions because I was helping them with retirement accounts. And of course, you can earn a percentage off those retirement accounts as they grow. So I built up 500 clients over 5 years. And then 2020 happened, right? The world shut down, schools shut down, travel shut down. And then I was like, okay, what's next? Because my business shut down. And I had no idea when would schools ever open up again. None of us had any certainty at that time when you look back at the spring and summer of 2020. And so I was there just thinking about what's my next move. I was 41 years old at that time, saying, okay, how do I start over without starting over? And it was a scary time. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then here comes Michael Reese. Hey, man, I think you should still be a real estate agent. And I was like, I really don't want to be a real estate agent still. And he just kept talking to me. And like he's a pretty persistent guy. And I think he knows me. He knows my skill set. He knows that I do well and I strive to do well in anything I do. So it wasn't about, I think that he thought I was going to be this great real estate agent. I think he just thought I would be really good at the position and probably do things like what he was doing. And I think he saw me in that light. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to get into real estate, I don't want to just get into real estate and then try to figure it out or see how it works or start prospecting or trying to build a sphere or something. I felt like I needed a plan first before I decided if I could move into real estate. So at the same time, I didn't really want to actively prospect anymore. I'd been in sales now for almost 20 years and I'd always chased my client. I'd always gone after them. I have done everything from cold calling to door knocking to email campaigns to shaking hands, kissing babies, all of that to build my businesses. And I was always pretty good at it because I was the best at prospecting. I did really well at sales because I was willing to out prospect most people. But it's a grind. I felt like I spent 90% of my time always prospecting. That type of history just really got me thinking. And of course, over the summer of 2020, I thought a lot and I researched. Instead of watching Tiger King, I decided to figure out what's my next move and how am I going to transition without starting over. So that took a lot of thought. It took a lot of understanding of my past and what had worked. What did I feel like hadn't worked? What should I do differently? And I was in a financial position, fortunately, to be able to do that as well. So I wasn't in a rush. And I just thought, okay, you know what? If I'm going to move into real estate, let me see if I can figure out a plan. Plus, he kept talking to me about this agent attraction thing at this brokerage. And I think that's what he really thought. He thought I would be a really good agent attractor. But to me, I don't think I have any credibility because I've never sold a home. How am I going to attract people if I haven't even? He was like, don't worry about that. There's plenty of people that don't sell homes or never sold a home and they attract plenty of people. And I thought, yeah, but it just doesn't really fit my personality. So that made me think even more. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to sell a few homes first, and then that would allow me to help attract agents to the brokerage, I thought, how would I do that? Is there a way to attract business, to attract real estate clients? And so that word attraction just got stuck in my head because it was like a new concept to me. I was thinking attraction versus pursuing. Okay. Those are the types of things that just really got me thinking. I thought, okay, how is there a way to do that? Because I didn't want to cold call. I didn't want to door knock. I didn't want to start spending a bunch of money on postcards and at this time, it was still a little shaky whether or not you were supposed to talk to people or shake hands and kiss babies, during 2020. So I thought, okay, there wasn't a lot of networking events or anything going on. So that just led me to social media. And being 41, I was at that age range where I think a lot of 40-year-olds and above are at, which is that love-hate relationship with social media.
For sure.
We didn't grow up with it, right? It wasn't there in high school. It wasn't there probably in college. Maybe it came around in your late 20s, early 30s. And what did we see? At least what did I saw people bragging, posting their lunch and a bunch of silly cat videos. Social media is stupid, right? That's what I always thought. And so as I did as little as possible on social media up to this point. But I started to see the 20 and the 30-year-olds start to make some good money, whether in real estate or any place else. I was watching and I was saying, okay, these people are attracting business through social media. So that got me thinking there, okay, if I'm going to attract business, I'm probably going to have to do that through social, but which platform? Because I also understood the trap of getting involved in every platform. I think that's a big mistake people make, especially starting out, is somebody will tell them, okay, congratulations, you're an agent or you're a new business owner. Make sure you open up every single social media platform and basically put 20% effort across 5 different platforms. So instead of doing that, I thought, what if I picked one platform? I go 100% on one platform and learn that. And what if I get good at that first before I try to be everywhere? Let me be good in one place first. So again, this was just a lot of thoughts and a lot of strategy, I could say, planning. I was just trying to think this through before I felt comfortable I didn't want to just get a license. I also didn't want to get a license and just be a failure in 6 months or a year or sell 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 homes. Whenever I get into something, I want to go 100%. I want to try to be the best. I want to know what was the record, who sold the most homes their first year. Is there any way I could beat that? I'm pretty competitive when it comes to that as well. So I looked into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because that's where everybody told me to start. And none of them just really set well with me. I didn't feel like they fit my personality. And so I just kept digging around, but YouTube was my last choice. And once I started to research YouTube, and then I realized it's a search engine, not really a social media platform. Then I thought, okay, that sounds interesting to me. And then I started to figure out that people research suburbs and neighborhoods and areas. And that got me thinking. And I was like, you know what? I'm not a great real estate agent. I'm not even a good one. I haven't even sold a home yet. So how could I get on TikTok or Instagram and give all these great educational pieces of advice whenever I haven't even done anything? But I have lived in Dallas for 20 plus years, and I do know Dallas. I know the neighborhoods. I know the suburbs. I know the way around town. I know the cool things to do and the schools and all that stuff that matters to people moving. And so that's where it finally clicked for me that, you know what? I can just be a tour guide, so to speak. I can talk about Dallas. I don't have to sell people that I'm an agent. I'm going to sell Dallas. And then maybe if people find value in that, they will call me, and maybe I can attract some business that way. So once I started to understand that, then I started to study YouTube and really study the platform. And from there, that allowed me to understand the platform, because if you don't understand the platform or how it works, then you just start posting stuff on there, get no traction, don't understand why, and then eventually you'll probably stop. I didn't want to be that person either. So I studied the platform for about 2 months, learning as much as possible, ins and outs, and publishing times and scheduling and recording content and how often should I publish, all these types of things. There's 1,000 people on YouTube, probably more, that teach that stuff. And so I learned about the platform, and I literally built out a business plan about what I wanted to do. So that way, whenever I started, I knew how many videos I wanted to film, how often I wanted to publish, how was I going to get them edited, how was I going to get them optimized. So as I learned piece by piece, I built out that plan. And so that's what made me comfortable to say, okay, now I'll make a move into real estate. And I had a solid plan so that I could start immediately instead of getting into real estate and twiddling my thumbs for 6 months.
That's amazing. Let me back up for a moment, just say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I also love the fact that you took charge of your health. I'm a huge advocate of natural options and finding ways to do that. My kids will call me a little bit of a witchy witch because of the stuff I make. I'm always like shoving things down their throat. Here, drink this lemon drink. Here, drink my witch's brew. So my boys tease me about that all the time, but I think that's very commendable what you did, and that you were, thank God, you looked into that and brought yourself back to health. I think that's the number one thing that I realized in my health journey is you have to take charge of your own health, and you only get as good a care as you demand. So pretty powerful.
Yep.
And so now you've been with EXP 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you've built quite an organization, and you've built quite a following with regards to your YouTube channel and what you've done. And if I'm not mistaken, you actually have a program that people can join or be a part of, that you sell, right? That helps people figure a lot of this stuff out.
Yeah. Actually, we have a book as well. So we have the book that we came out with, Passive Prospecting. And then, yeah, for those that want a little bit more in depth, I would say step-by-step process, then yeah, we have some programs and membership programs, monthly coaching, all that has stemmed from that, because once we got those results, it just came natural that I started to help other people do it. And essentially, we knew that in order to build a better organization as well, and to be able to attract for that, it was easier to build it out in a easy to follow format, like a digital course. So originally we built out the course for agent attraction purposes, to see if we could grow and expand our team by offering them something tangible, because you can't scale trying to teach every single individual everything. And so it's easier to sit down, record all of that, put it in a course format. And now I knew we had something people would say, hey, why should I join you? Or why should I partner with you? It's, well, here, if you want to do this, if you want to learn this skill set, this specific skill set, and it doesn't have to be YouTube. It could be TikTok. It could be door knocking. It could be cold calling. There's people out there that would rather cold call all day than make a video. And if that's your specialty, the sooner you put that into a digital course, then you have a tangible training program that makes you more attractive and will allow people to make an easier decision if they want to partner with you. So originally, that's what we built it out for. But of course, as people start to see our success, especially million in commissions in our first year, and then our second year 2.3, and then this year 2023 even 1.1, which yes, down from last year, but I will take 1.1 million in commissions off of one lead source
in a rough year.
Yeah, in a market where it was 7.5% interest rates the entire time. Sure, I'll take that. What happened is we started getting approached by EXP agents. We got approached by people outside of EXP that didn't want to join EXP, and they kept asking to buy it. So that's everything just naturally progressed and moved into that. So yes, now we do offer that for anyone, and in several different ways, whether they partner with us or whether they want to stay where they're at, or if they're already with EXP, then it's a very easy to follow outline for them to do what we do step by step in their market.
And so what do you see as next? We're in an industry that's in flux right now, right? Where a lot of agents are actually getting out of the business. They're predicting 30 to 40% agents will leave the industry. And so how does what you're doing in your program help people avoid not making it? What does that help them with?
People buy and sell homes every single day in every type of market. The difference is, are they going to find you? So in my opinion, the agents that will succeed and have succeeded this last year are the most visible agents. How are you going to be visible? For us, it's through YouTube. I know we're perfectly positioned if the market comes back, you could say, in 2024, or interest rates even drop a little bit. I know we're going to be perfectly positioned to capture that. So you have to have a presence somewhere, somehow, some way. You have to be the person that people want to work with, period. And so if you're not doing that, then you likely will get out of the business. Otherwise, whatever it is you're doing now, you have to figure out how to scale that as fast as possible, as much as possible. And so if you are cold calling, how do you make more cold calls? If you are door knocking, how do you make more door knocks? If you're working networking events, how do you get to more networking events? If you're doing open houses, how do you do more open houses? And I think that you need to understand that. You need to hyper learn something. And that's what I love to call that, is because I hyper learned YouTube in about 2 months. And I believe in this day and age, with books, audiobooks, with YouTube, with Google, with all the information out there, whatever it is you want to do, you can actually become probably the best at it, if not very close to the best at it, by studying that over the next 60 days. So that would be something I'd be thinking about doing over this holiday season here, or these last couple of weeks, instead of watching all the terrible Hallmark movies out there or binge watching Netflix. You know what? If you're a people person and you love open houses, the things you've probably been doing open houses just to do open houses. Have you ever gone onto Amazon, type in open house marketing, and bought the first 10 books that show up on there? Have you ever gone into YouTube and typed in open house marketing and watched 100 videos about open house marketing? Have you gone to Google and Googled open house marketing and read 50 blogs about it? That's hyper learning. And the faster you do that, which you could do that over the next 2 weeks, because maybe you have a little bit more free time because of holidays, you could probably become the best open house marketer in your area, because everybody else, every other agent has probably done it the same way you're doing it now, which is just somebody said, oh yeah, hey, go open up a house and put out a few signs and some balloons and bake some cookies. Make sure you bake cookies, because people love the smell. And when they come in, they'll feel at home. And everyone says, that's it. That's all I got to do. Open up a house and bake some cookies. And then no one shows up and they wonder why. There's 100 different things you can do to actually drive a significant amount of traffic to your open house. And so there's tricks, there's trade secrets, there's all this other stuff other than baking cookies. But you'll only know that if you read 10 books on, are they boring? Yes, I'm sure they're boring. But that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for excitement here. We're looking to learn something. And so that's what I did. I bought 10 books on YouTube marketing. I watched 1,000 YouTube videos on how to create content, make a YouTube channel, all that, from all different types of people. Even anybody I watch now they don't have to be a real estate agent. I can learn something from them, or how they're creating content, or how they're publishing their videos, or these types of things. And so you should really buckle down and hyper learn one thing over the next 30 to 60 days. That will save you, I believe.
That's amazing and that's brilliant, of course. It's a matter of people talk a lot about what they want, but they're not necessarily willing to put in the work to do what is required. And I see that all the time. My brother says it best, everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. They all want to get there, but they don't want to do the work that requires it. So who are you watching right now when it comes to YouTube? Who do you think is the most brilliant YouTube marketer right now that you're paying close attention to?
I'm probably following Ryan Pineda the closest, and I do some coaching with their team as well. So even someone like myself, who some would consider me a coach, then
Yeah.
even I get coached, and I've paid into his high ticket coaching program because I want to learn from him. Because I think Ryan Pineda has the business model that I closely align with, that I want to do. I've followed Ryan Serhant. Even though I wasn't in real estate, I've always loved real estate shows. All right. I've watched Million Dollar Listings since season one. I don't watch really any TV except for some real estate shows. Those get me every time. But yeah, Million Dollar Listing, I watched it since season one, Million Dollar Listing New York and LA. I just thought they were cool shows. So I've followed Ryan's journey, which by the way, he wrote the foreword for our book. And
That's awesome.
that's a whole different story in itself. But
And your book is called Passive Prospecting, right? And right there
correct.
on your name, that's the
Mhm.
link that they could go and purchase that book.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And yeah, and I think we're running a special right now. It's only $2.95. So so I followed Ryan Serham, and I love Ryan, and I've hung out with him several times. And actually, I was just at a dinner with him about last month in San Francisco. And but he's also selling 30, 50, $100 million apartments in New York. So it's not necessarily,
Relatable.
yeah, to Dallas, Texas market, right? And so but I love his branding, his marketing, all that type of thing. But when I met Ryan Pineda, lives in Las Vegas, deals in single family homes, multifamily apartments, which is something that I'm moving into now. I'm now invested in 752 doors across 4 different apartment complexes, and I plan to do that more. But also Ryan has an education company, and he actually has 7 companies. And then on top of that, he doesn't work after 5 p.m. and he doesn't work weekends. And for me, that was something that really resonated as well, because I've been working a lot the last 3 years to build this, which was necessary. But I don't want to be that agent, that transactional agent forever. And
Right.
continuing my education still and learning from someone like Pineda, then that got me into multifamily. And then I was like, okay, I started researching multifamily. And then next thing I know, I'm invested in 4 different complexes, 752 doors. And I'm like, okay, cool. And now I'm starting to work on the GP side, general partner side on a couple of these deals. And that's where I want to be. I want to build into that. And from there, and then his content, he's grown a massive social media following over the past couple of years. And he really just started on social about 3 years ago. So it's an interesting story, pretty unique. But then as far as business model and likeness, yes, that's where I feel like we relate more and it's more of our style. But so he covers the aspects that we cover, which is single family, multifamily, creating content and coaching businesses. So that's who I like to watch.
So would you say probably the number one thing that holds people back is like fear of video?
Either that or consistency. Once they start, they stop or they quit, or I don't know. The thing is that I think we all have a fear of anything we start brand new. And it's always there. It's just you work past it. Think about when you got your real estate license. You got a ton of material. It was overwhelming. It was none of this makes sense. Am I really going to use this out in the real world? I've got a realtor friend who's an idiot. How did they pass this stuff?
Well,
And
30 years ago, we didn't have the content y'all have now. Like we
yeah,
didn't have YouTube, the internet, we didn't have any of that. But I
yeah,
remember having a big stack of books
yeah,
and thinking, oh, how am I ever going to get through these books?
yeah.
And the funny thing is our real estate test, I get agent people all the time who want to get their real estate license. And I said, I'm not going to answer any questions for you at all until you actually have your license because nothing on the test is the real world.
Yeah.
I think I've used one question in my whole career, which is how many feet in an acre, right? All the rest I've never used as far as my real estate career. And so now life is so different. I watched my 11-year-old grandson the other day. I was talking to him and asking him a question. He goes, I don't know, Nina. Hey Siri. And he's 11 years old and he's like talking into his phone. He's, oh, let me show you what it looks like. And he's showing me on social media. So the world has definitely changed a bit, but it's exciting to me. We have more opportunity to learn than we've ever had in the history of the world. And so it's quite an opportunity to be able to take that and learn. And as we wrap up today, could you tell us a little bit about the book and of course how they can get the book? Because I'd love to be able to offer it to our listeners today and give them an opportunity to go out and figure out what they can do to create. And I'm ordering one myself. So there you go.
Yep, it's the book Passive Prospecting. If you go to book.passiveprospecting.com, I believe right now we're offering it for $2.95. So or you can get it on Amazon for $20. Either way, whatever you wish to do. Yeah, this is talk about in the first 9 chapters, the principles, the passive prospecting principles. And I break down why I believe YouTube is the most powerful marketing platform out there, especially for free. So I break down each different principle, why it's different from traditional marketing or old school marketing. And then the last 5 chapters is the process. So I walk you through how to start a channel, how to build a channel, how to do some research. And so it's very practical and very tactical on those 2 sections of the book. So
is it also available via Audible or anything like that?
Yeah, it's on Audible.
Audible version? Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me about 8 hours to read that for Audible. It was pretty cool.
I've been doing it both lately. Like I'll get the book and I'll put it on audio so I can listen and read along. And
I've been doing that. Yeah. I like to have the book, the physical book and the audio. Just things are so distracting now. And trying to sit down and just read a book as well. That's a little bit of a challenge. But what I recommend to people too, if you're going to read a book, read a chapter a day or something that's digestible, really a chapter, because in one chapter is usually one main concept. So you just got to look at, this book is 14 chapters. I could knock it out in 2 weeks. And if you just stick to that chapter a day principle, it's not overwhelming. You can consume, I would say, understand better what you're reading, and it makes more sense. It's more digestible. And then next thing you know, you're like, wow, I knocked that out in 2 weeks. That seems super easy. And if you want to continue that pattern, you could really knock out a lot of books every year. So I do like Audible as well. And I just found that in the car or at the gym, I'm halfway listening anyways. It's good though sometimes to pick up a nugget here or there, but then I lose context sometimes because I just miss a few sections. Because if I'm in the gym or driving, clearly we get distracted that way. So for me, if I really want to study a book, I've been getting the Audible and the physical book and then putting in earphones because that blocks out all the outside noise and distractions. And then then I'll follow along that way.
Yeah, 100%. That's been like the most effective for me lately. And I've been trying to I used to be an avid reader for years, but now with cell phones and all the distractions, it's really hard for me to sit down and my ADD kicks in. It's hard for me to sit down and focus. But I've been making that commitment myself to read a minimum of 10 pages a day. And then a lot of times once I'm in 10 pages, I'm like, I might as well finish it. Or, I might as well get to this end. But that commitment alone has been a big game changer for me in getting through some of these books. Because, some of them aren't the most exciting books to read, but they're educationally, you got to get through it, right?
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Levi. I've really enjoyed watching you grow the last 3 years and seeing you speak at EXPCon and that kind of stuff. And you're doing some pretty amazing things. So I'm super impressed and super proud of what you're doing. And thank you for all you've done and all that you do to give back to our community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here and look forward to seeing you at the next event.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you again for everybody who joined us on Real Estate Real World today, where we get to talk to all the cool people and we get to learn some fancy tips and tricks from rising stars like Levi and many others that are coming up. So be sure to follow us on all the social channels. I know we're on YouTube too. So follow us over there on YouTube because I'm going to be getting the book and I'm going to be learning some new stuff. So I'm super grateful to have you here today. And thank you everybody for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful holiday season and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today on Real Estate Real World, where we talk with masters and leaders in the real estate industry and beyond on how we can raise the bar in our industry. Please subscribe over on iTunes, and while you're there, be sure to give us a review. Your reviews encourage us and help others to find our podcast for show notes and hot topics on what's going on right now in our real estate industry. Also, hop on over to www.realestaterealworld.com and add your name to our email to get early advance notice of upcoming podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and go out there and be a part of the elite masterclass and raising the bar on the real estate industry.